Week 5 of college football is in the books, and you know what time it is. It's time to talk draft scenarios. Why is Brock Bowers a perfect fit for the Chicago Bears? We will tell you why next on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Let's get locked in. Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find them, follow me, as well as my guy, Keith Sanchez, on Twitter at the talent code me, DP_NFL. I'm a national scout over with the Draft Network. And guys, happy Monday. And thank y'all for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out to y'all, man, for being our everydayers. But man, I got to kick it over to, I just told you, my partner in crime, Mr. LSU himself, the champ, Keith Sanchez. Keith, talk to him, baby.
What's up, Locked On family? This is Keith Sanchez, senior draft analyst with the Draft Network, man, and 2019 national champ with those LSU Tigers, man. And speaking of championship, right, you know why we're here, right? Myself, Damian Parsons, we are here to bring you that championship level content surrounding the NFL draft, whether that's NFL draft strategies, whether that's philosophies, whether that's mock drafts, with everything NFL draft, college football, NFL football. We are the dynamic duo that you tap into every single day, man. Want to give a shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us, man. DP, we have a hell of a slate, man. This is Monday, and our goal is to go 1-0 each week, right? And we've been in a routine, and I think we've been going 1-0 each week. So this is what we have, man, on deck this Monday, right? We have our draft scenarios. What players we think will be in the best situations going to what team, right? So we're talking draft scenarios. We're talking stock up, stock down, right? Some players played well, some players disappointed, right? In the prime time, in the big light. So we have to get into that. And then, like we said, we're bringing out what? We're bringing out Coach K, we're bringing out Coach DP, and we're handing out game pause. This is a loaded show. This is an exciting show. So make sure you stay tapped in the entire time. And like we always say, man, talk to us because we talk back. DP, before we get started, man, why don't you hit him with our title sponsor?
Today's episode of Locked On NFL Jobs has been brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. After week 5, we did have some ballers, Keith, and man, one guy, and I said it in the cold open, Brock Bowers. You talking to, and honestly, I could have given them my game ball. I didn't. I went a whole different route with it, but I could have, because that game between Georgia and Auburn was a heavyweight slugfest defensively, very physical. And for majority of that game, Auburn was able to have his number. But what he said was, I'm going to change cell phones so you can't call me no more. Because then in the fourth quarter, I think he had 121 of his 140 receiving yards in the fourth quarter. Multiple one-hand catches, big-time grabs, plays after the catch. And when you ask me, he had 8 catches for 157 and a touchdown. And draft scenario, ideal fit. I know in my mock draft last week for the TN, Keith, I didn't put him there, but thinking about this on Sunday, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I got to do it. I got to flip it. Caleb Williams goes to Chicago, right? You got DJ Moore. You got Darnell Mooney. Who knows what's going to happen with Chase Claypool? You know what I mean? And I'm like, all right, they paid Cole Kmet. I hated that they paid him because he has not played to the level of earning another, not a paycheck, but earning that extension, right? Brock Bowers walks in and he becomes your tight end one. And I said, give me Brock Bowers with Caleb Williams in Chicago. And this is just a type of draft scenarios, ideal fits with Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator from the Detroit Lions, as the head coach, calling this offense.
You
I got it all together, man.
You put together the head coach, you put together the quarterback, you put together Brock Bowers, you put the whole thing together. But DP, just reacting to a quick reaction, I like it, right? I like it for multiple reasons. Even when you think about you threw in Ben Johnson as the head coach, right? What he's doing with rookie Sam Laporta, right? Like, and he understands how to use Sam into Sam's strength. So you would think that this wouldn't be a wasted pick because it's probably going to be a top 10-ish, top 12-ish pick, right? I'm like, okay, are you going to spend that type of draft capital on a tight end? You don't want it to be the Kyle Pitts situation. Nobody wants to see that play out, right? But I trust that Ben Johnson, just his perspective on the football and strategy and, how to apply things and utilizing his weapons, that he will give Brock Bowers involved. So I have no problem with it. And you talk about Brock Bowers, DP, he is, I don't know if he's going to catch and break the record, right? But he's tied second with AJ Green for receiving touchdowns. That's how productive this guy has been in college football. And you talked about him against Auburn 2 days ago, right? Saturday, where he was able to make the game-winning play, where it was just like, this is just a dude versus guys that's just not on this level at the end of the day. And you can see him doing that same exact thing in the NFL.
No, his power, his contact balance, all of it, Keith. And like you said, with Ben Johnson, the way he's using Sam Laporta, the way he used T.J. Hawkinson before they traded him, things of that nature. But also, he's I believe that the Lions in 2022 were the number one team in using 11 personnel. You put Caleb Williams back there with the receivers that they have, put Brock Bowers in this offense. I say you try and trade Cole Kmet, unless you want to keep him and make him tight end too. I don't know how he'll take it, but I would say try and trade him and get some draft capital for him, right? Maybe a 3rd, 4th round pick to a team that could use a tight end upgrade or whatever, and see if they can unlock him. Oh, maybe Ben Johnson can unlock him. Who knows? But either way, he's going to be tight end too because I'm giving him Brock Bowers. Keith, next up, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin, the star wide receiver from Oregon, back-to-back weeks of over 100 yards. He had 7 receptions, 117 yards, 2 touchdowns versus Stanford. And I thought about a good fit for him, Keith, and I said, man, the Carolina Panthers in the 2nd round. You talk about an offense that needs some juice, that needs someone that can win one-on-one, that can separate, and Troy Franklin to bring that, right? You want to unlock the deep ball for Bryce Young. Yeah, you got DJ Chark. You brought in Jonathan Mingo, and we knew what Jonathan Mingo was. He was a raw wide receiver that did not have a lot of experience and wasn't nuanced at the position. So for him, you got to bring him along a little slower than you probably wanted to after trading DJ Moore. I think you insert Troy Franklin into this offense, it probably spells that TMJ is not going to be there anymore, and they probably let him walk with into free agency or try and trade him and get a late round, day 3 pick for him, a 4th, maybe 5th or whatever. But Troy Franklin will bring the juice. I think he'll bring the route running and separation and bring that receiver that could be the 3-level threat that this offense desperately needs. And if you're going to trade up for Bryce Young and give away DJ Moore and send out extra first, you're going to sell the farm like that for a quarterback that is better as being a point guard. You got to give him some shooters, man. You know what I mean? You got to give him some shooters to be able to distribute the ball to.
Yeah, so that's another one I like. I will ask you this. Would you envision Troy Franklin being the number 1 wide receiver? Would he be the number 1 guy there?
I think he could develop into it. I think this will be an offense with Frank Reich with Bryce is just whoever's hot, whoever's open. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where it won't be like a designated dude off the top unless they, like I said, he unless he separates himself as such, whether it's training camp, preseason, couple games into the regular season, they're like, okay, we got to feed him the rock. So
you're saying just bring in some guys, just scratch this and bring this in and allow him just to distribute, like you said, just work those progressions and go to who's ever open.
DP need winners, man, and they don't have any one-on-one winners right now besides maybe Adam Thielen.
I like the selection. I just don't know this. I don't know if Troy Franklin is going to make it, DP, out of the 1st round, and just because of how he's playing, and this is not my comp, but I can very well see this happening, DP, because when I was watching him yesterday, and I did. Statue-wise, it's going to be this basic conversation. He's going to get compared to Devontae Smith. I think that's what's going to happen. These tall, lanky, slim wide receiver, can win vertically, but the nuanced part of the game is where they both excel at. I can just see that happening, right? Like in with that happening, right, DP, that I wonder if he's going to be the number, like if he's going to fall out of the 1st round. And speaking of like draft scenarios, right, that's why I had him pegged when I did my mock draft. I had him pegged to the Buffalo Bills, and I'm like, this is exactly what they need on the other side of Stephon Diggs, right? Just something, somebody, like you said, that provides versatility. But I do like him in Carolina. If Carolina's able to get him, they, like we said, we consistently talk about this. They got to figure that part out. They have to figure that part out. But DP, I'm going to pass the rock back to you one more time.
I got one more, Keith. Your boy over in the Bayou, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Quarterback, Jaden Daniels, coming off a big game. If the defense could do anything, they win that game. And my pick for the SEC still stands strong, but they got 2 losses. I don't see it happening now. But he was 27 to 36, 414 yards, five total touchdowns. He also had about 15 carries for almost, he was a yard shy of a 100-yard day on the ground. And when I thought about where he could go, and for me, Keith, it was a couple different spots. I say you look at the situation. It's just me throwing a shot in the dark. The New England Patriots. Like, how long are we going to do this with Mac Jones? How long are you going to try to reinvent the wheel and try to find Tom Brady again? No, go and get a guy that has arm talent, who is a dual threat. He's mobile, and he knows how to operate all 3 levels of the field, right? And one thing about him, he's a tough, even though he's a slim stature, I don't see too many quarterbacks that takes the hits that Jaden Daniels puts himself in position to take, get back up, and still thought that slinging the rock like it's nothing. So I say Jaden Daniels to the New England Patriots. Let's turn the page. Let's become more modern, huh? Bill Belichick, let's become a little bit more modern.
Yeah, so DP, when I look at that's an understandable spot for him. And when we talked about Jaden Daniels the other day, and it's like, I hate using this term, right? But he's slippery. Like, because I want to find another word, because it just doesn't fit. I don't feel like it's a football word, right? But that's what he is. It's an element of elusiveness to it, to his running ability. Like you said, almost coming up with 100 yards. I want to ask you this, and just having this simple conversation, we'll obviously dive deeper into him as the season goes, but the production via the slot fade ball, right? The one-on-one football. How do you view that? Is that a plus for you? Is that okay, can you consistently do this? Is this something that translates? Like, where do you view that part at? Because I won't say a large part, but part of the production is the one-on-one balls, and he definitely pulled that off against Ole Miss. Like, I think he threw it 4 different times for 4 touchdowns.
No, it's a plus for me, Keith, because when you're talking about getting into the high red zone, and that 20-yard line, right, and you able to isolate your one-on-one matchup, can you throw it with the touch, timing, and ball placement down the field to get it to those receivers? And he throws dimes. He was throwing them over and over and over again, and just putting it out there where his guys can get it, and the DBs couldn't make a play on it. So I say, yeah, it's a plus in my book.
Okay, cool. Speaking of plus, DP, you know what that means? That means we are adding on. We are moving on. We are going to the stock up, stock down segment. Who added to their stock and who had that negative right by their draft stock? So we're about to jump into that segment right now. Stay tuned.
These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs, guys. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. It's very easy. All you have to do is create a free job post on LinkedIn Jobs, add the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. You will have simple tools at your disposal, like screening questions that make it easy to focus on candidates with the right skill set and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and or hire. It is why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. So it's very simple, guys. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. The stock market is open, Keith. It opens every Monday on the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. Man, Keith, and this is a name that I don't think a lot of people know, and maybe they know a little bit after this weekend, primetime game, but tight end from Notre Dame, Mitchell Evans. Okay. Man, he has played good football, Keith, over the last 2 weeks. So you talk about a guy that is listed at 6'5", 260, strong-handed. He has 18 receptions, 272 yards on the season, but majority of that production has come within the last 2 weeks, right? where, in week 4, he matched up in that close loss to Ohio State, 7 for 75, over 10 yards per catch in that game. Then against Duke in primetime, 6 for 134, right? Over 22 yards per catch. He has multiple catches where it's one hand, just ball skills, hand-eye coordination, and then the ability to create after the catch, the toughness, the speed. I think he's a good enough athlete. He's not the Brock Bowers kind of dynamic explosiveness to him after the catch, but he's a good enough athlete, Keith. And he reminds me, I'm gonna tell you the name he kind of reminds me of a little bit. Dallas Goedert with the Philadelphia Eagles. He gives me a little bit of that vibe where he's tough, he's physical, good, like I said, good enough athlete, straight line, good enough route runner as well, but the ball skills, the ability to pluck the ball away from his body. I like this young man, and granted, he's a junior. He may not even come out, man, but talking about if he was to enter, his stock is up for me right now.
Okay, no, I haven't checked him out. I've seen him in moments, right? Because obviously Notre Dame has had back-to-back big-time games, and you see him in moments, man. But yeah, primetime games, right? Both 6, 7 o'clock kickoff Central Time. So a lot of big-time performances for him. And Notre Dame, right? They're going to have USC coming up. I think they play Florida State, I believe. So
yeah,
I think
it's Florida State too.
Yeah, so they have some other big-time performers. So his resume, DP, he's going to have a chance to just continue to knock off names, and he's showing up in the big-time games, and that's something that you really want to see.
They don't play Florida State. They play Clemson.
Clemson. Okay, that's what I knew it was an ACC opponent. Yeah, I knew it was like one of the top-tier ACC opponents. But DP, man, my stock up goes to, we just finished talking about the Bayou. My stock up goes to LSU wide receiver Brian Thomas. Man, he's putting together. He's coming out of nowhere, DP. Right, like nobody was talking about him. I remember him from recruiting. Right, recruited him. He's from this local area too. Probably about 20 minutes away from Baton Rouge. And last year, he played sparingly, right? He's a junior this year. And DP, the Florida State game, right? We're talking about big time performances. Florida State game, he came 7 receptions, 142 yards, right? Then Grambling and Mississippi State, he had, 60, 70 yards in between those. But then that Arkansas game, when they needed him, DP, he showed up 5 receptions, 133 yards and 2 touchdowns. Then he follows this up with the Ole Miss game. That was a barn burner, a shootout, right? 8 receptions, 124 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Man, and we just talked about, we had this conversation with Jaden Daniels with this slot fade conversation. He won twice with that, right? Just look, throw it to that back pile and I'll be there. And then I'm going up and get it. So he's listed at 6'4", 205 pounds. So he's definitely somebody that's a big body wide receiver. And I don't want to draw this comparison because I want to cut the film on, which I am going to do this week. I'll have that done probably by Wednesday, right? But I wonder if there's going to start being a Terrace Marshall conversation about him because he is winning on the outside and some in the slot. So I just want to watch it first, right? Because Terrace Marshall was smooth. He was really smooth. So I want to see, is Brian Thomas one of those big wide receivers that can just go up and get it, or is he also a route runner also? So Brian Thomas, for me, though, was definitely a stock up guy.
Keith, it's funny that you bring up Terrace Marshall, because as I was watching him over the past 2 to 3 weeks, I was like, man, he reminds me of Terrace Marshall Jr. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I see it, but then thinking about just watching this dude, the back shoulder fades, the jump balls, and not only that, but like he's got athleticism, straight line, but then he's able to make some moves at like in the quick game after the catch to make guys miss and get yards, and create yards after the catch. He's been impressive, Keith. It's crazy. It's crazy because this is what's funny, Keith, is the performance between him and Malik Neighbors this year is what we expected to see with Neighbors and Kayshon Boutte last year. Yep. That's what we expected to see. Now we're seeing it just a year later, and I'm happy to see Brian Thomas ball out, man. Because again, if he was to declare, this could be one. This wide receiver class could be one of them ones, man. If he declares, and all the guys that we think will declares, oh yeah, this could be one of them ones. But Keith, we've talked about the good news, right? We got to reel it in. We got to reel it in a little bit and talk about stock down. And the stock down guy of the week right now. Talk about primetime game, Keith. Primetime moment. We talked about it on Saturday on the live stream, guys. If you're not tapping in, what are you doing on Saturday mornings? Tap in with us. But we talked about that, Keith. Riley Leonard, quarterback for Duke. In that Notre Dame game, it's like, all right, Riley, this is your moment. The stage is set for you to come out here and ball out, right? And I talked about it. I said, Keith, like, people are talking about he's a top 15 pick, so forth and so on. But from a passing standpoint, I hadn't seen enough, right?
Uh-huh.
And what did he do against Notre Dame? 12 of 27, 44% completion, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He threw for less than 150 yards in this game. He had 18 carries for 88 yards, and that's cool. That's no problem, right? He has more rush touchdowns on the season than he has passing touchdowns on the season, Keith. So when you talk about a top 15 pick, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen takeover in games. I haven't seen the traits as a passer that say he should come out this year. Keith, I got to take Riley Leonard should not even touch the NFL draft. Like, off of what I've seen right now, he needs to go back to school. Like,
yeah,
truly. It's the Anthony Richardson situation, Keith, where I've seen him take over against Tennessee, 500 total yards from offense, 4 touchdowns. You're the only reason your team is in this game against Hendon Hooker and Tennessee. I haven't seen that type of performance from Riley Leonard. So I haven't seen the takeover performance. I think he needs to stay in school.
Yeah, and then with the injury, you don't know how much time he's going to miss. I will be interested to see DP because there's so much that's going to go on, right? Because Mike Elko, he continues to win at Duke, and if Riley Leonard is out, I don't know how they're going to string together some wins. But if Mike Elko moves on, does Riley Leonard say, hey, well, I'm going to just go to the NFL anyway? Or does he potentially follow Mike Elko wherever Mike Elko goes, right? So it'll be a lot of different, perspectives to it. And then also, DP, is like not just an Anthony Richardson conversation, but also Will Levis conversation, right? Because will he be a player that no matter what, it's like the middle of the second round, end of the second round? Yeah, the hype is there to where it'll continue to carry him because we were talking there will be a consensus trait conversation around him. But I'm with you though that I haven't seen nowhere near enough to really have him etched in stone as a top first round pick. There are traits there, and the traits are more athletic than they are the arm talent that we've seen thus far. So we will see. But DP, man, it's time to put your coaching hat, man. Where's your whistle? Do you have your play sheet, man? Because coach, we're going into the locker room, man. We're handing out game balls. So coming up next, man, you're getting a Coach K, you're getting a Coach DP, man, game ball segment. We're handing out game balls to the top performers.
NFL season is here, and it's time to snap into the action this NFL season with FanDuel, which is America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, brand new customers can get $200 in bonus bets back, fully guaranteed, when they place a bet of $5. Let me repeat that. If you place a bet of $5 as a brand new customer to FanDuel, you will get $200 back in bonus bets, guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. First of all, you can't beat that. There's no stipulation around it. You win, you get $200 in bonus bets. You lose, you get $200 in bonus bets. So why do you want to play around with this offer? If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time or place to get in on the action. All right. So the app is super easy to use with a wide range of betting options like spreads, player props, over-unders, and so much more. So visit locked on, and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel is the official partner of the NFL. All right, Coach K, play sheets in hand, whistles around the neck. It's time to tell these players who balled out. Keith, when you look at what we saw in week 5, who gets your game ball of the week?
DP, we had to go to 11 o'clock central kickoff, and I'm talking Kentucky versus Florida. Running back Ray Davis, right? I believe he had it was almost 200 yards at half. He finished the game with 26 carries, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns. And I'm giving him the game ball, DP, not just for the sole performance. It was the tempo setting. It was the maintaining the game. Like it was everything you talk about a quarterback, right? Where the quarterback has to control the game and they have to do this and they have to do that. He did that from the running back position, right? From the perspective of he consistently set the tempo, right? Even catching the ball out of the backfield. And I believe it was almost like a swing pass, right? And then he was probably 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And He fought through probably 3-4 tackles, and he had no business getting into the end zone, but he powered his way in through the end zone through 4 defenders, and it was like that was tempo setting, right? And then when they needed a big time explosive play, it came via Ray Davis, right? When they needed to manage the clock and control the clock and get everything settled because Florida had just scored, they went back to Ray Davis. So I'm handing him the game ball, not just for his individual performance, but being able to control the entire game. Ray Davis, you get my game ball.
No, he was a man on a mission, and he was unstoppable in that game, and you could kind of see it early, right? And I was like, there's no way he's gonna like slow down, right? And then just like but then I was like, okay, this is Florida. Like you expect their defense to tighten that chin strap and throw that mouthpiece in. Like we are not about to let this happen for 4 quarters.
I don't know if he played, but like big boy like Desmond Watson, right? The guy that's like 440 pounds.
Yeah, 420.
The last thing he'll be able to do is run up the middle. But I agree.
Shout out to the offensive line because there were some nice creases for him to hit.
Oh yeah.
And once he hit them, you saw the open field speed for him and everything. I think for a young man like this, man, a guy that I think he's a senior. He's listed, I think, like 5'9", 5'10", over 200 pounds. He's got that short bowling ball, stocky frame. It's going to be interesting to see. This is a good running back class for the most part. Some guys have been kind of banged up this year of not playing as well as we expected and stuff, but he could be one of them sleepers, Keith. I tell you right now, I like him. Watching him, I like more from what I've seen from him as a runner than I did Chris Rodriguez, who was like their bell cow back for multiple years. So, but Keith, I got to go with a young guy, a true freshman. That I'm giving him a game ball, Keith. Yeah, true freshman. Over at the University of Clemson, man, Tyler Brown versus Syracuse, 9 receptions, 153 yards. He did not walk away with a touchdown, but Keith, I want to put it into some perspective. They won this game 31-14. Cade Klubnik completed he had 263 passing yards, 2 touchdowns on the day. Well, Keith, for those watching on YouTube, only 101 of his yards went to everybody else. 153 went to this man, this young man from Greenville, South Carolina, the freshman Tyler Brown. And Keith, watching this young man over the past couple weeks, and when I was doing, for those who know, I'm not the host of the Locked On Clemson pod. I stepped away from it, just time constraints, things like that, scheduling. When he stepped into the lineup, I think it was a couple weeks ago against FAU, he brought what this offense was missing. The deep ball.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you.
It's consistent week to week. Mm-hmm. He should have had a touchdown versus Florida State last week, but Cade threw him a little bit too far away from the coverage instead of throwing him up the field to the end zone because it was money. You know what I mean? Post routes out of the slot. He's a slot receiver, but he's dynamic, he's explosive, and he's exactly what this offense needs, Keith. I'm telling you now, man, Tyler Brown deserves the game ball because without him, I don't know how well Cade plays in that game. He relied on this young freshman to carry that passing game.
DP, well, I mean, you jumped in the bag, right? You handed the game ball to a freshman. We're talking about the 2026 NFL draft, right?
Yeah, 2026, we plan on being whatever it is.
We plan on being here a minute, man, and we hope we get to talk about Tyler Brown, man. But I'm that's good, DP, because with Clemson, you talked about the lack of explosiveness, and then being able to get the young guys out there finally and say we're going to roll with this style, right, to create some explosive plays from his offense, and just them being able to score 31 points, right, and it almost looked normal. I think that might have been the best this offense looked, right? Like just consistent from a consistency perspective. So I'm all the way with it. But DP, speaking of being all the way with it, man, I'm all the way with what we're doing, right? Week 5, man, a recap, man, that wraps up this show, man. I want to say shout out to our everydayers, man. Thank y'all for tapping in. Like we always thank y'all every single day, man. We are here Monday through Saturday because we do the live show on Saturday. So if you're listening to this, man, go ahead, hit that bell notification to lock yourself in for the Saturday show, man, when we go live. But like I said, man, shout out to our everydayers. Make sure y'all tweet at us because we tweet back. You can find me on Twitter /X at DTalentCode. You can find DP at DP_NFL.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Get the latest episode as soon as it is available for the algorithm. Comment, like, talk to us, like he said, because we do talk back on YouTube and on Twitter. Guys, tomorrow, you know what we have? We have the rookie report. We have NFL game balls. We're recapping the NFL action. So tap in tomorrow. All right, so we can give you all the good stuff, the great takes, the fun. We have all that coming up on tomorrow's show for Tuesday. But for Damian Parks and Keith Sanchez, listen, come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.